219 of the Xbox Hall of Games podcast. This week, I'm joined by Shane.
Hello, hello.
And that's it. Just we're two-manning it this week. Jake is off celebrating the 4th of July or whatever it is the Americans do.
America!
Yeah, Shane, you survived the pyrotechnics and the hot dogs?
Yeah, had a few glizzies, just watched some explosions, really felt the patriotism right here. Might be the heart attack starting.
Yeah, I was going to say,
sure,
yeah.
But
it's the acid reflux, yeah. Hey, Moonzom, thanks for joining us.
Than dying of a heart attack on 4th of July. I mean, come on.
Nothing more American than heart disease, 100%. To be fair, like 4th of July is actually one of the first times I ever went to the States. I got there on like the 3rd or the 2nd of July and was there for 4th of July, and it was fucking wild.
Yeah. I mean, I'm in Iowa, so we're not close to the big things, but it is the 250th anniversary of America, so they were hitting it hard. They've been hitting it real hard.
I did see a poll that a large portion of the American public don't actually know what the 250th anniversary is for, but hey, that's fine.
That's not surprising. USA.
Oh man. Well, it's been a hell of a week in video games. As a bit of a joke for last week with the GTA 6 news, I named the episode Diskless Behavior. But I didn't realize it was also going to be a prophetic title, because now I can't use that for this episode. You have to come up with something else.
No, now you can do like Diskless Behavior to Electric Boogaloo.
That's true. Yes, actually, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a good point. So we'll see how that pans out. But as always, we do the show live on Twitch. Xbox Hall of Game is the place to find us. Come say hi, hang out in the chat like Moonzom is. We try to interact with you guys as much as possible, so we love answering questions and getting your reactions live. We do have a community question this week from Mad Lefty, who says, could be a little fun debate for the next pod. If Xbox was split off from Microsoft to be its own company, do we think it would have more independence or die faster without the Microsoft teat? I know it's probably the second one, but can make a case for the first point if you can. Obviously, we've got a lot going on over at Xbox at the moment, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But there have been some talk around Xbox potentially either being spun off or kind of moved further away from Microsoft in the same way that kind of LinkedIn is, where it's like it's owned by Microsoft, but they kind of operate independently. Whereas, again, Xbox has always been in a bit of a weird spot. It's kind of being under Microsoft as their... I mean, it is really their only consumer-facing brand at the end of the day, right? Like, obviously, Windows is on everything, but the majority of the money they make from that is from business. Xbox is the thing they sell to people, human beings. But I don't know. Do you think that if they were to go independent, Xbox kind of becomes its own thing? Like, is that possible? Would that work? Like, what would that even look like?
I mean, are we talking about Xbox 360 Xbox, or are we talking about current Xbox? Because, oh boy, I don't know if they can survive right now, man. There's no way they're making the capital.
Yeah. I guess, with like the 3% accountability margin that we talked about the other week, like that's crazy.
Yeah. So,
I think
there's no way.
I think for argument's sake, there is something interesting in terms of it would very much depend on the direction Xbox would go in. Because I could see Xbox being a mildly successful third-party publisher, I think if they were to go independent, there's no way they could stay in the hardware business. It's too expensive. Yeah. It requires too much scale, too many contracts. Like they wouldn't be able to do it. They would basically, the talk of them becoming a third-party developer in name would become solidified if they were to do that, because they would basically say, well, we have all this IP that have some sort of money coming in from some of the existing stuff that's already going on. Again, like Game Pass still makes billions of dollars every year, right? And it's the kind of thing where it's like, yeah, it's not growing super fast and not nearly as fast as they want it to, but it is still a profitable part of their business. And so if they were to spin that out, like, yeah, sure, I'm sure they would take some hits. And again, maybe this is something that they're going down in terms of like they're shedding all of these extraneous costs to make a sleeker, more third party focused. But again, the platform, the hardware side of the business is the weird part where it's like, but that's not really congruous with the rest of what you're trying to do, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I guess if they spun out, they would still license with Microsoft probably to build the dang consoles, and I'm sure Microsoft would probably be an investor, or
Yeah,
at
for
least
sure,
have
definitely.
some play in capital. So I don't know, man. I don't understand business. I don't get it. Like none of the things they're doing makes sense most of the time.
Yeah,
I see the movement, like with Asha, all the positive movements she made total sense. It's rebuilding the brand, and everyone's kind of not really reigniting the console wars, but getting there, or at least playing to that.
sure.
But now, I mean, I don't know. I really don't know what they're thinking right now.
Yeah,
I really hope they just stay the course and just keep doing what they're doing right now and limping along. And I mean, we're already seeing with some of the things we'll be talking about shortly, we're seeing Sony make the same mistakes that Xbox made when they were leaders.
Yeah,
Starting to make those same moves and same assumptions about their base that might take people off enough to switch back to Xbox again. The next generation, we'll see. It is a different landscape with how digital libraries work and the ecosystems, but they're still screwing up a little bit, so we'll see.
Yeah. I had it in the news originally, but there was also a report that came out that apparently the split between Xbox and PlayStation in terms of software sales and other bits and pieces is about 80-20 worldwide, which is like crazy. Like Xbox is barely competition at that point. Yeah. I think it's an interesting thought case because, Cameron, Keo, and I talked a bit last week around the future of Xbox and like Game Pass in particular, and like the spin-off idea, and like what is the future state of Xbox even look like, and do they even know? And yeah, you're right. Like I think obviously there'll be deals to be done, and I think we'll talk a bit about studio stuff that we know, or at least the talk we've heard later in the show. But I think that there is always that thing of like, well, what does it actually mean? What does it mean when you spin off something? What happens when a studio becomes independent but still, like, look at like Toys for Bob, for example, right? They were at risk of getting shut down after they got acquired. They were originally owned by Activision. They spun off, did their own thing, and said, "Oh yeah, we're working on a game. We have a game that we're working on with Xbox, with Microsoft." And it's like it turned out to be the new Spyro game. And it's like, yeah, okay, sure. But what's the difference about them being owned and making that Spyro game versus them being independent and making that Spyro game, which I don't think is going to be exclusive. I don't know. Who knows? But it's a very complex beast. Yeah. But to your point, I guess we'll get on to our first news story, which is the big news this week, which is that PlayStation has announced that they are ending... they're ending physical media January 2028.
Wild.
Yeah. I mean, this is an evolving story. Like, so there's been a lot going on since this was announced. This was announced, earlier in the week, so it's been a few days still. But yeah, PlayStation has basically come out and said that any games that will be released after January 2028 will not be printed on disc for PlayStation at all. A lot of people, this has sown a lot of confusion. There's been a lot of questions. Obviously, this is quite a big change.
Yeah, I know they've come back and said that that does not apply to re-releases of old games.
Yes. So yeah, again, and exactly. So and anything leading up to that point that was going to have a physical release will still have a physical release. They're not stopping production or anything like that. They're basically saying this is the cutoff after that physical game. New games won't have physical releases anymore. And again, the writing was kind of on the wall for this for a little while. I don't know. There's always this thing when we talk about news stories and our personal experiences of these things that obviously we are a subset of a subset. But in my personal experience, I have not bought a physical game in a very long time.
Same.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since I bought anything physical.
Yeah, I can't even remember the last time I used the disk drive on my Xbox, to be honest. But I don't want to say that that's the typical experience for every person. But I know that there's been a lot of debate. There was talk around how 80% of people, 85% of people, or 85% of games sold on PlayStation were digital sales. But then I've also heard a lot of pushback on those numbers in terms of people going, well, actually, those numbers were calculated based on every single digital purchase, not whether or not he even had a physical edition available or not.
Which would not surprise me.
Yeah, and so it looks like some of the bigger titles, for example, even like I think 007 First Light, to take a recent example, had a pretty, not definitely had a large digital amount, but I think it was like 75-25%, which like 25% of your sales is still a large number,
Yeah, it's fourth, man.
But I guess the question is that if that game never released physically, would those 25% people move over to buy digitally? And I guess if the answer to that is, 80% of them will, then you go, well, then fuck it. We'll just cut it. We just won't do discs anymore. I mean, look, this is the way this was always going to go, right? Like, I don't think that anyone is surprised that, like, yeah, there's been no lead up to it. And it's a bit of a surprise that they've just kind of slapped a date on this without kind of like, going, oh, hey, we're moving in this direction. But I think that I can't say I'm surprised, really. Like the writing's been on the wall.
I'm not sure if I'm more surprised. I'm not sure if I'm more surprised if that they doing it and they put a date on it, or that it's Sony doing it.
Yes.
Like, I think a lot of it's expected Microsoft to be the one to pull this trigger.
Sure.
They're always the ones who are a little ahead of the curve enough where people get ticked off about that, like the decisions they make, whether it's broadband being needed for live or connect or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I think everyone's shocked that big fanboy Sony is the one to put old Lassie down first. That I think is what really shocked everybody.
For sure.
And so definitively, not even like, hey, maybe the next console will be digital only. Just, hey, 2028, we're done. Kaput. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I guess this basically confirms that the next console will be probably a 2028 launch for PlayStation. I don't think there's any reason why they would do this when they still have PS5 games to sell. If they're looking to move people over to the new console doesn't have a disc drive, they need to basically get ahead of it and say, hey, we'll make. I'm sure it'll be backwards compatible. I'm sure you can play all your PS5 and PS4 games digitally on it. But I'm sure they're going to go, yeah, well, we need to make sure that people aren't buying games up until this thing comes up and then suddenly complaining about how they can't use it on the new system. Because I mean,
easy win for Microsoft though, man.
Potentially,
to just be like, hey, we got a disc drive, boom, done. Well, there you go.
That's the thing, right? I mean, like both manufacturers have, Xbox and PlayStation have been selling consoles without disc drives on them for a good while now. It's not unusual. PlayStation was allowing you to buy them separately, and I'm sure they will still sell probably some sort of disc drive attachment. Well, actually, now that I think about it, maybe not. Maybe this is them trying to go, actually, no, we don't want to have to sell a disc drive attachment.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to.
Yeah, actually, no, now that I'm thinking about it, it's like, well, I don't know. I mean, obviously, the response to the internet has been negative, to say the least. A lot of people.
I love all the dunking that all the different brands have been doing.
Yeah.
Like Pizza Hut being, we have digital pizzas now and stuff like that. Corporations are fun.
Was it Tetsuya Nomura, one of the guys that made Final Fantasy, one of the Final Fantasy directors, was like, yeah, no, I'm going to be digital only going forward. So you'll need to download an app if you want me to interact at Square Enix. Otherwise, I won't be talking to you. Yeah. As someone this doesn't impact directly, obviously I have some opinion on like, well, I don't buy physical games. I don't really see the need for them. I think we're at a stage where a lot of physical games now also don't have the full games on the disc. There's the whole thing, right? But obviously there's arguments around like the used market being killed because of this. The ability to be able to like, rent and lend games and that kind of stuff is kind of dying. I mean, again, it's been on the decline for a long time anyway, but this will obviously be the death knell. I mean, this will basically be the end of retail for this. I'm sure they could still do like codes and boxes, but I don't even know if they're going to want to sell those kinds of things.
I mean, around here, our last GameStop closed like at least 3 or 4 months ago. So yeah, we don't have much of a used market anymore where I am. and I
Yeah,
assume a lot of places.
same thing here. Like EB Games in New Zealand, which is owned by
Yeah.
GameStop. They completely closed in New Zealand. They're still in Australia, but they closed every single store in the country. And so that was the last dedicated video game retailer there was. I mean, obviously there's still a few other places that do electronics and stuff that sell video games along with other things, but yeah, video game retail has always been on the decline, and I can't say I'm super surprised. But yeah, to your point, it is surprising that Sony was the one to pull the trigger on this. But I think they're the ones who are looking to make the moves for next gen and trying to shore that thing up, because it sounds like they're not going to go down the hybrid route of doing a PC console hybrid. They're
No,
just going to go
they're
strictly
full console.
and so they want to make sure that they're getting everything in line for what they need to make that console profitable, which is
And honestly, that is
only.
Microsoft's strength, is that they are, as long as the Xbox is part of Microsoft,
Yeah.
they are also a hardware manufacturer. So they could get a lot of like positive feedback and positive press by just going, hey, not only we're the hybrid console, but we also have a disk drive. We are still gonna do physical. Like, they could do that, and if they did go all digital, they also could be we're gonna talk about it. The, physical to meet digital,
Yeah.
and then also develop, or not developing, but like implementing some way to share digital copies. Like,
Yeah. Similar
I can't
to what
believe no one's done that yet.
Man, my camera's really blurry for some reason. Sorry about that.
A little bit.
Yeah, not sure what's up with that. Yeah, it's I completely agree. I mean, yeah, maybe they go down more like the Switch route, where it's like, yeah, they allow kind of like game sharing and some other bits and pieces as a more official capacity, which I think is something you probably need to think about if you're going to move into an all digital ecosystem and you're going to be competing with PC and other consoles. Is that you need to have some sort of point of difference that makes it appealing.
It's straight up pirating. Yep.
Yeah,
you
exactly
have
right. Because
to
piracy is
do
a
that.
service issue, as Gaben always said, right? And I think he's 100% right. Like, a lot of people use Steam because the deals are good. It's very usable for the most part, and the games play. And it's like there's a level of security there. Yeah, I mean, also the other news story here is that like Sony has basically announced that their largest disc plant, which is the one they have in Austria, which is where, like, if you go and look at a PlayStation 5 disc, almost, I guarantee you 90% of them will have been made in that Austria plant. You actually see it on the disc. They've basically already said that they've invested 30 million into new technology. They've already started to shift that factory to start making micro lenses, which, that's unfortunately that basically means that they have also jumped on the AI train, because that's essentially what you would use optical micro lenses for these days. So they've basically seen the writing on the wall and gone, well, we want to move away from digital. Sorry, we want to move away from physical, get everyone on digital. So we stop having to pay retail and stop printing discs, stop making, sending out boxes and dealing with all the shipping costs. And we also can start building stuff for AI to make money on the other side of it. So yeah, it unfortunately does make a lot of sense. And this is obviously, isn't something that you just kind of like flick a switch and you make the change. Like, obviously this has been in the works for quite a while. But of course, this is their largest factory. There will still be others, because they have also said that they'll be doing reprints of older games and other bits and pieces, and that sort of stuff, and also making sure that they have capacity to print games up until January 2028. So it's not like they're shutting down all the factories. I know people are like screaming about things, but I think this is, realistically, this is the writings on the wall. This is the place that makes 600,000 discs a day, or used to. So I guess we'll see. And apparently PlayStation does like half of their volume at the plant at the moment. So I guess we'll see kind of what goes on there. Yeah, looking at like 10% of the volume apparently by the time they get to 2028.
Yeah.
In the other news, I will quickly go through. Sony's also been under fire for a few other things too. They've rescinded ownership of a lot of movies. I think it was like 500 movies or something, basically due to expiring licensing deals. They have basically just removed those. If you've purchased any of those through the PlayStation system, those movies will just be taken away. No refunds, nothing. Just, it's gone. because the licensing is given up. And this isn't just like small stuff too. This is things like Terminator and like mainstream movies. So it isn't just all indie stuff. And then on the other side of it, PlayStation also announced that they're finally shutting down the PlayStation 3 and Vita stores, which is something they tried to do a little while ago and kind of got a lot of pushback on. But I think now they're feeling more confident and they're just going to go ahead and do it.
It's going to do it.
Yep, they're like, fuck it, pull the Band-Aid off. So all bad news comes in threes. So they just dropped all of this out here this week. Again, like I said, people have been very upset. I've been seeing a lot of people contesting their numbers around their justification. So I would definitely recommend checking into that. Again, we don't know quite yet, but there's been a lot of talk around like how big of an impact this is actually going to have if physical disappears. There's also been like some stuff around like monopolies and antitrust. I know Sony's in a bit of hot water at the moment in general, with PlayStation basically being claimed to be a monopoly and being there's a bunch of class action lawsuits happening. Brazil in particular has come out and said that they're not happy with how things are going. There's been a statement from the EU as well. So
they still sell like PS2 games in Brazil?
Yeah, that's true, because that's, again, there was a whole thing with like the Saturn factory back there and stuff. You could get like an original Xbox or the original PlayStation or whatever, like Genesis and stuff. Yeah, it's kind of wild, but yeah, it's very interesting to see like what the response is going to be like this. I'm very curious to see if this is going to be an ongoing problem that they're going to have to fight against, or if this is going to be people get outraged for a little bit and then everyone just gets over it and moves on.
I'm not sure, because we obviously, I mean, look how movies have gone.
Yeah.
You know, that's the obvious comparison here. And good luck finding physical media in movies. Which is weird, because I guess we're also seeing Netflix all of a sudden release a lot of things digitally, and Disney Plus has been releasing some of their content digitally, physically suddenly. I'm not really sure what's going on, but
I mean, I definitely feel like there's a consumer
comparison.
There's still a consumer market for that kind of stuff. The comparison everyone talks about is like vinyl, right? Where it's like, yeah, like there'll be an enthusiast level of these things where people want to have, ultra Blu-rays and all that kind of stuff, and like I'm sure there'll be an audience for physical games still, and there'll be limited runs and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. Steelbook, I guess steelbooks are gonna disappear, because it's like, well, what are you gonna fucking put in them if they don't make discs? I know there's been a
code.
Yeah, code in box. I know, again, it's a very interesting discussion, but a lot of people have been talking about how Steam has been doing this for years, and like, why is this not a big deal? And yeah, I mean, like, I don't
the consoles.
Exactly.
Like
right.
that's the difference. Steam, when you buy a console, that's just how it is. You buy a game and you play a disc, and a lot of people still rely on that, and especially in rural areas where I'm at, and just I don't know. We don't have, I mean, thanks Biden, but we do have some fiber here and there, but only in like the big cities. A lot of farmers and their kids still want physical media, and it's just easier that way. And so we don't have the infrastructure to go all digital yet, but maybe we don't have a choice now. We'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, Moonzom said, yeah, the old farm can't download 39 games a day. Yeah, exactly right. And obviously that's the extreme, and we're on one end of the spectrum in terms of how many games we play. I did see I saw a tweet today that was, it's like, man, if this wasn't you in 2020, you were missing out. And it was 4 games downloading on an Xbox, and it was GTA 5, Madden NFL, NBA, and FIFA, and they were the only 4 games they had installed. And they were like, this was the life. And I was like, man, I'm gonna fucking shoot myself. Like,
yeah, I mean, every time I talk to my brothers, they're like, I played this game and this is what I played this year, and I'm like, I don't know how you function. Like,
yeah, I just
no thank you. I could not do it. I don't want to play Apex Legends every single day. I don't get it. I get we are a niche of a niche. I get it, but I don't know. Like, yeah, I don't think we're quite ready for digital only. But
yeah,
Xbox, man, come on, man. This is such an easy win. Like,
well, yeah, I don't know how much luck we're going to have with that either, because our other news story here is that there's been some talk around Xbox's disc to digital initiative that they have running. Apparently, it's been sort of leaked. There's been some like testing going on behind the scenes. Again, so I saw someone saying code naming your thing disk to digital was a really bad idea because that's not much of a code name because it pretty much spells out exactly what it does. But this sounds like it's very much what they've been talking about during the beginning of the Xbox One days, where basically every game had some sort of entitlement for a digital code. And that Microsoft are working on a system where you can put in an Xbox One or Series X game into your console, tie it to your account, and then as long as no one else uses that disc, you basically have the digital entitlement for that game forever. The idea being that like if it's a Play Anywhere title, you'll be able to play it, like download it on PC and all that kind of stuff. Again, it's very much like what actually already happens if you have a disc. They're basically just going, yeah, give them a digital license for it. Which I think is an interesting idea. It does make me think that they probably won't have a disk drive on the next on the Project Helix if they're kind of getting ahead of this and trying to get everyone to at least not have to rebuy every physical game they have to turn it to digital. But
they did specify that it's certain games. I think as you further back you go in the Xbox library, they didn't quite have those markers and identifiers on the discs.
Yeah,
it sounds like, at least. So, but overall, I mean, this is what God, what was it, Fandango, or maybe it was whatever Walmart company it was. But you could do that. Me and my wife did that for a while, where we'd put our old DVDs in, and it would just go, "Hey, we know this DVD. Here's a digital copy. Boom," and that was it.
Yeah, it's pretty smart, right? I think it makes a lot of sense. Again, like I moved almost completely to digital. I have a binder full of some discs and stuff, but I'd love to move all those to digital if I could. I guess the biggest letdown for this, though, unfortunately, is that it's only going to be for Series X and Xbox One. So if you still have 360 stuff or original Xbox stuff, none of that stuff carries over, which is a shame.
It's backwards compatible, yeah.
Yeah. So I guess we'll see. I think it's an interesting idea. I definitely think that it's probably the right move. I guess and it looks like it's pretty flexible as well. So like if someone else, if you give the discs to someone else, you just lose the entitlement and they get it, and you can just kind of swap it back and forth. But I think it does signal to me that the Project Helix just won't have a disk drive, and they want to just try and move everyone to digital without going as badly as PlayStation and just kind of saying, oh yeah, physical's done, you have to do digital, and if you've bought physical games, go fuck yourself, basically.
That'll be interesting. I would assume Helix will be backwards compatible again, because that is just what Xbox has been doing. So yeah, no, it would make sense. I mean, do people have many Xbox One physical titles? I have a handful. I'd say less than 10, I think, at this point.
I would say about the same. I have a lot more 360 games that I fucking need to do something with.
Way more 360.
Yeah.
But I have a 360 for that. So, and most of mine aren't backwards compatible. So
yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if there's anything else around that was kind of been listed so far, but yeah. Yeah, no idea of like when it's actually coming out or anything like that, or kind of like what. Again, it's very much like in testing at the moment. And yeah, I think to your other point, it'd be very interesting to see a list of like what works and what doesn't in terms of age. I guess what you could do is just like if you get the disc entitled to you, you could just then afterwards just snap the disc and break it, and then like, well, then no one else can take it away, and you've got it tied to your account forever.
It's mine now.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
That's probably what I would do. Yeah, I guess we'll hopefully hear more about it. It's interesting that we had like they haven't done a proper announcement for this. I'm wondering if it's just because it's still really early on, or if this is something they announce in conjunction with the next console. And they go, hey, next console's coming out, and also here's this new initiative that we got going to make sure that you keep your collection or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess it depends when they're gonna announce, man. I still think it'd be, I don't know, man. I don't think they're gonna announce the new move to the new generation anytime soon. Not until this AI stuff gets settled out. Like, I get having handhelds and stuff like that be a premium experience, but going a whole generation as a premium experience is insane.
Yeah,
I just don't I don't know. I mean, again, I don't understand what they're doing. So maybe to next year they'll announce that the Helix is coming the year after that, and it's $1,500. But that doesn't seem
I mean,
viable
that
to me,
sounds like it'd
man.
just be
I
dead
don't
on
know.
arrival, though, right? I mean, we saw with the Steam machine pricing that everyone kind of freaked
I
the
don't
fuck
know.
out, right? And like, yeah, maybe they'll get it slightly less than the Steam machine because they have the added bonus of being bigger companies to be able to negotiate larger amounts of RAM. We have some stories about RAM after this anyway, but it feels like even 2028 like sounds like it's a long way away, but that's 18 months away. You know, like that still feels too early for prices. Are, you know, especially with what Asher Sharma was saying around they were expecting prices to double again for storage. Like it still feels way too early for next gen in this. Like yeah, it just feels like the wrong time. And also, I just don't
Yeah.
give a fuck. Like I'm definitely not. I'm not interested.
That's also true.
You know, I don't even feel like the Series X has been pushed to its limits with some of the stuff we've been playing. You know, we haven't been, we haven't gotten to the stage where it was like, you know, when the 360 was really showing its age, or when the Switch One was like, yeah, really needed a Switch Two. And like, obviously, you know, Xbox One kind of got its mid-gen refresh, and obviously Kinect was part of that too, and that was the same with 360. But I don't know, I just, yeah, I don't feel like it's the right time.
To be fair, that's exponentially going to keep happening, right? Like, there's only so much they can push
Yeah,
graphically and technological. I wonder how many. I don't think I've done that many 360 or series games at all, honestly. I was trying to look that
like
up.
series exclusive games, yeah.
Yeah, I think I did like what's that easy shooter one that everyone did that came out a sequel later. Let's see,
Oh
Xbox
yeah, I know the one you're talking about. Yeah,
Series. Yeah, right.
I don't even think I got around to doing that one.
No, I guess there are some more and more. Oh no, TA. Never mind. TA screws it up. I can't look that up. Never
Yeah,
mind.
it's unhelpful for sure. They're not super great on
Yeah.
that.
Well, yeah, because they're marking. I've got it set so I have a Series S. So even my Xbox One games, they're marked
All
as
listed
Series
as
S.
series, yeah,
So
series games
yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
But I do know that my daughter. So me and my friends play games a lot on Game Pass, and slowly but surely, my daughter is not able to jump in because she plays on Xbox One,
Mm.
and there are more and more games that are series only. So, but I don't think I played too many that are like exclusives. So
I mean, it looks like there's like I don't know, yeah, 18 pages of them on TA. I'm very curious to see how many of those actually really need to be Series X exclusives. But yeah, anyway, yeah, it's an interesting time. I guess we'll see what next gen looks like. One really quick story here is Star Wars Eclipse, which is a game that, as far as I'm concerned, doesn't actually exist. It's something that Quantic Dream has been working on. They announced it, what's like 6 years ago or something ridiculous, with a trailer showing they were going to do some weird Star Wars stuff. With
already, wow.
yeah, right. And we've seen nothing about the game since. A bunch of the workers are protesting because they've been doing layoffs or proposing layoffs at the studio, and basically saying like they came out and basically said like, "Hey, look, we already have half the amount of staff that we need to make this game. We need to be adding people, not taking them away." So, uh, it sounds like maybe there's the chance that being cancelled. Not quite sure. It's something that I would love to see because I love Star Wars, but I also when I heard that game, when I heard kind of what was going on with that game and the fact that the trailer that they showed was basically non-existent, I didn't think there was going to be much chance that it was going to, you know, that it was ever going to eventuate. To be
Yeah,
honest,
not that I played Star Wars game in a while, but hey, it looked the tone piece looked cool.
yeah, I like the yeah, exactly for sure. And then I guess the Xbox saga continues with talks of layoffs and changes and studios. So to catch everyone up, Asher Sharma basically said there was going to be a big reset at Xbox, that they're looking to cut back. Well, actually, no. They were looking to redistribute their spending. They actually came out and said that they're actually planning on not cutting the amount of spending they're doing, but just moving it to different areas. So they should be investing about the same amount, apparently. We'll see how true that is. But this has led to a lot of speculation. There was talks around what studios were on the chopping block. So the main ones that came up were Double Fine, Ninja Theory, and Compulsion. It looks like Arcane has also been added to that list. For those who don't know, Arcane are the ones who the Arcane that still is around, because obviously there were two studios. The first one was the one that made that. What was that terrible game?
Yeah.
What was the one that? Yeah, Arcane Austin was the one that got shut down. So Arcane Leon, I believe, is the current one. Were the ones making Blade, which was apparently supposed to be coming out originally end of this year, but got slipped. And that might be the reason that it doesn't end up happening, because I imagine that's probably not a cheap game to make. They have not shown anything of this game for a very long time. We got one cinematic trailer, which was basically a teaser. That it was,
I was say a cinematic teaser.
Yeah, Blade set in like Paris, it looks like, and that was pretty
like maybe in Paris, New Orleans,
something like that. Yeah, something French for sure. And that was it. Like, it was very much like, and so we haven't heard anything about it. Apparently, it was looked at. There was a story a few weeks back of them saying that, you know, someone had they'd been seeing it and it looks really good, but the talk was it was supposed to be this holiday release, and it looks like it's going to slip till next year, end of next year, which I think might be too late. So yeah, Arcane's getting looked at. And then also Undead Labs, which, you know, we talked a bit about this last week, and the week before actually, was around like what is going on with Undead Labs and State of Decay 3, which, you know, they acquired that studio back right when State of Decay 2 came out, and they have not shipped a game in 6 years.
I was gonna say they pretty much just did State of Decay Ultimate Edition, State of Decay 2, and now State of Decay 3. That's all they've done.
That's all they've done, yeah. And like, obviously they supported State of Decay 2 for quite a while, and you know, so it's not like they haven't been doing anything. There was quite a few big expansions and changes to that game. But when they showed off State of Decay 3, you know, years ago, they admitted that, like just recently admitted that when they showed the trailer off for that game, or the kind of, you know, the teaser, that basically that game was a Word document at that point. They had not even started, even on pre-production. And it sounds like maybe they might not even get to post-production, because it sounds like this is looking pretty rough. There was also a story around Obsidian potentially being assessed for this. There's been a lot of back and forth around that. I know the games business kind of announced that was a studio that was under consideration, but there's been some pushback on that. I think Jason Schreier and a few others came out and said that it wasn't, and they're safe. But I think the thing is that we just don't know, and things seem to be moving so rapidly that, like, I mean, we're recording this on what would be the 4th of July in the States, so middle of the weekend. I suspect we'll probably hear some news next week around what the actual results of these things are. The talk is some of these games are looking to spin off and potentially spin off, either be independent or sell off to other buyers. Microsoft apparently have found some buyers potentially for some of these studios already, and there's also been some talk around, if they can't find buyers for them, potentially supporting the studios at least until they get their next games made and out and released, and then parting ways after, some sort of agreement, basically. What that looks like, who the fuck knows? And like, I'd love to be a fly on the wall in some of those meetings, because that must be very, very interesting. But I'm sure there's going to be big layoffs. The one studio, it sounds like, the two studios that sound like they're safe are the Halo studio, and Obsidian seem to be the two that are kind of going okay. We haven't really heard anything about Bethesda, any of the Bethesda studios, id, Machine Games, any of that kind of stuff. I'm sure there's going to be cuts from all over the place. But yeah, again, Microsoft always do big cuts at the end of their financial year. Like last year, they laid off like 6,000 people. So I imagine it's probably going to be something similar to that, if not worse.
I'm sure we're still seeing the ripple effect of all that COVID hiring and COVID. I mean, Phil Spencer bought so many studios.
Yeah.
The last few years, and then I don't know, of all of the ones, I think Bethesda would probably be fine. I mean, between Fallout being a TV show now, and as far as I can tell, 76, as much as gamers may not like it, it does well. And same with Elder Scrolls Online, and I don't think Bethesda has anything to worry about, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, you're probably right.
If there's any game right now that Microsoft owns that they could just announce news on and cause a fit, the level of like GTA would be Elder Scrolls or Fallout.
Sure.
So I think of all of them. I mean, even more than like Gears of War or Halo.
Yeah.
Like Bethesda is a big deal. So I'm sure they're fine.
Yeah, I would hope so. I mean, I'm sure there'll be cuts in general, but hopefully, well, who fucking knows? But it does sound like it's going to be a bit of a bloodbath. I'm surprised that they didn't try to sneak it out on a Friday, but I guess the talk is that we might hear about this on the Monday. There was some conspiracy theory going around that Sony felt pretty comfortable making all these announcements and pissing everyone off because they figured that Xbox would just jump in and fuck things up and make things sound even worse and take the news cycle heat off them. It's okay. I guess we'll see.
I've seen that meme everywhere of Nintendo looking on as Microsoft and Sony shoots themselves in the face, and it's just, yeah, not wrong.
I mean, Nintendo is also an interesting one. I mean, they've been experimenting a bit with this kind of, game key card thing in boxes and retail as well. There's been like limited quantities of games available like in physical. I think it was like Pocopia, I think was one of the big one where a lot of people couldn't get physical copies of that game and kind of had to revert to digital.
I think Nintendo just keeps quiet about that.
Yeah.
Like a lot of this is PlayStation is the leader. It's very surprising again that they said anything, but they are the leader, and then Xbox kind of is catch up, and they are the ones who are being torn apart by the media and the news cycle, and then Nintendo just kind of does their thing as they always have. But I think it's really benefiting them right now, where they are definitely testing those digital only waters, man.
Yeah.
And
they did that thing where it's like it was like Yoshi, I think was more $10 more expensive physical than digital. Like, yeah, I think they're maybe being more subtle about it and trying to push people to digital rather than telling them they have to go. Just making
like
physical
those
harder
sweet
to
old grandma in the corner, be like, "Oh, grandma's so cute," but I mean, she's a little racist, but you know, she's really sweet. She gave me $100, you know.
I was going to go more
fine.
with teaching a kid how to ride a bike and then eventually just kind of letting go and they go on their own. But sure, we can go with racist grandma. That's fine.
I don't know, man. My grandma was wild, so.
Actually, to be fair, so was mine. Now that I think about it.
Yeah, my abuela walked in and started handing all the kids $100 bills, and all the parents would go, "Ah, no, wait, no, grandma." So
that's so funny. There's also been some knock-on effects for this as well. Two other things happened. So there was apparently a partnership with IO that was happening for a fantasy game that they're working on with, and apparently Microsoft were going to publish and help fund some of that game. Microsoft have now apparently pulled out of that deal. IO didn't call them out directly, but the news basically confirmed it. But it looks like the game they're still going to be working on it, but apparently IO may go through some layoffs and they may have to reassess their timeline on what happens with that game and try to find funding in other areas, which is a bit of a shame.
yeah.
And in a similar vein, it sounds like the sort of Game Pass deals and those sort of conversations that are happening with indies and other sort of AA developers for things coming to Game Pass, a lot of those discussions have been put on hold. Anything that basically wasn't already in a contract have been told that they're going to have to wait while this kind of all this stuff shakes out. Which is probably not surprising. It sounds like it's more of a like wait and see as opposed to we're cutting all of these deals and never speaking to you ever again. But I do wonder if this is going to have an impact on what actually ends up coming to Game Pass over the next few months. Because again, I don't know how long it takes for these deals to be inked, and sometimes it's, hey, we have a completed game that we'd like to release on Xbox, give us some money to put it on Game Pass. Sometimes it's, hey, we need some money to even make this game, but we'll do a day one on Game Pass. Obviously, that means that it'll be years probably before it comes out.
Yeah.
But yeah, it sounds like this shakeup is going to be pretty extreme. There was also some talk around Halo and whether, again, the studio itself seems like it's going to be safe, but whether Halo has a future on PlayStation or whether after this Halo campaign Evolved comes out that they go back to being exclusive on Xbox. There's some rumors there that with the work on the next Halo and also the 2 and 3 remakes that they're doing may be console exclusive again. We shall see.
I mean, I would assume it would just be based on the sales, right? Like if it sells gangbusters on PlayStation, they'd be idiots not to continue that deal. So, I
You
mean,
you would think, right? But again, I guess this whole like
you would
console
think.
exclusivity thing has been like, well, like I think Matthew Ball said it. He was, their new chief strategist said that they are going to have some sort of publicly available list of like criteria for if something is going to be exclusive or not, so you have an understanding. Because right now it's like, yeah, exactly. Like we're kind of being like, what's going to be exclusive, what's not, what's the rule? Like, have they figured that rubric out? And apparently they have something internally for that. But I'd be very curious to see what they actually put out to the public to say this is what determines whether something is going to be exclusive or not going forward. And then our last story here related to hardware bullshit. RAM manufacturers have been sued for allegedly fixing prices. So there's a class action lawsuit against Samsung, Micron, and SK Hynix, basically saying that they have been intentionally squeezing the supply of consumer level RAM by only making RAM that applies to AI, and intentionally holding off on the supply of consumer to drive the prices up. I mean,
Yes,
yes,
obviously.
the answer is yes. Obviously, this is happening. But the idea is that apparently they've been colluding for this, and this isn't even the first time this has been this has happened. Samsung and Hynix, I believe, have actually basically had to do a huge payout a few years back around some of this stuff. And the only reason Micron didn't is because they basically snitched. Micron are the ones who assisted the investigators. Now, obviously, the way the US works at the moment, I don't think antitrust basically exists anymore.
No, absolutely not.
So very, very curious to see where this goes, if anywhere. Also, it is the thing where it's like, well, if they're using their supply to make more profitable parts for AI as a part, and that theoretically leaves consumer level stuff constrained, and they're just not supplying anymore to that, is that technically illegal?
Maybe.
Maybe.
I don't
Yeah, I
know.
guess that's the
Man, things
question,
are
right?
weird
Like,
here
there's, I
right now.
guess, yeah, the argument could be made that, like, well, should you be forced to make something that is not as profitable, when you could be making something more profitable with the resources that you have? I don't know. I mean, we'll see what happens. I just I can't say I'm surprised, but obviously the component crisis at the moment between storage, RAM, GPUs, fucking everything.
Yeah, at least it does seem like there is a huge backlash from the public about AI
Yes,
and at this point. Like
absolutely.
even Microsoft has been talking about, removing it from a lot of their apps and things like that. Like where everyone's sick of it. Like no one likes it.
Yeah, consumer sentiment is
There,
probably the worst it's been for anything, really.
yeah. Mhm.
Um,
Just straight up all across the board. There's the AI bros who swear it's the next step or whatever, and sadly, a lot of local small businesses are using it for their flyers and things like that. But overall, man, people are don't like it. It
no,
seems
yeah,
so.
and quite understandably. Yeah.
Yeah,
So I mean, hopefully, but again, this will impact everything all the way down from consumer electronics down to stuff we talk about every fucking week because it's just not going anywhere. But it's and even with Microsoft raising their prices of the Xbox, there's talk around Sony and Nintendo having to raise the price on the Switch and the PlayStation at some stage. Like, it doesn't look like it's gonna get a lot worse before it gets better. It sounds like, but
the sad fact of the matter is that America is a lot of these American corporations, and we are in a bad spot right now
yeah,
with almost not zero regulation, but a corrupt amount of regulation.
yeah,
So it's all gonna depend. I mean, we have to pretty much all just buckle down for the next what 2 years and just hope something changes.
yep,
If if in 2028 the elections don't go well, I it's gonna be bad. But
yeah,
ideally, we get someone that is going to make some kind of regulations on AI and data centers and all this nonsense, and then things might go better. And if the corporations pass those savings on to us, that's another story. But for now, man, I don't know. It's a bad spot. It's a real bad spot right now.
yeah. I just
So
there's no incentive for them to do the right thing, right? Which is just
No, not right
crazy.
now.
Yeah.
It's a real good thing we're an achievement hunting podcast and an Xbox podcast.
Fucking tell me about it.
It's kind of hand in hand, but like achievement hunting, great. Everything's just the same it's been since what? How long has Xbox 360 been out? Like it's all the same.
Yeah.
Nothing's changed at all. But Xbox, man, woof.
Yeah.
Woof.
I do wish Jake was on this week because I was looking at some retro achievement stuff and I was like, maybe I should move over. Maybe if this gets much worse,
don't do it. No,
I might need to just jump ship, and then you just hear me talk about fucking old games that people give even less of a fuck about.
Oh no.
Yeah, so that's pretty much it for the news. I mean, again, like this stuff is changing so fast. And I'm sure by the time we publish this, we'll have new news out there. Who the fuck knows, right?
Yeah, I'm sure when I go lay to bed in a couple hours, I'll start scrolling Reddit and things would have already changed. Some new news article will have come out about how this is shaping up. But
yeah, exactly.
We do the best to keep you guys informed. So
absolutely, because we do as much as this is an absolute hellscape, it is very interesting from a sort of like from like a business and kind of state of the industry perspective, even if we are also in the middle of it. All right. Do you want to go through the Game Pass updates?
Oh, I can pull that up. Game Pass update. All right, so joining in June 30th, we've got RV coming to Game Pass Ultimate Premium and PC Game Pass. We've got Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 being added July 2nd to Game Pass Premium, so jump down a step. And July 6th, we got Winds of Arcana Ruination coming to Game Pass Ultimate, Game Pass Premium, and PC Game Pass. Leaving on, what are we at, the 15th of July now? We've got Dungeons of Hinterberg, EA Sports FC 24, both Xbox Series and Xbox One versions. Golf with Your Friends, both Xbox Series 1 and Windows versions. Shadow of the Tomb Raider, Stellaris Console Edition on both Series and Xbox One and Windows. Super Fantasy Kingdom on Windows, Tectonica, and Splitgate Arena Reloaded. That's a lot of games, man.
Yeah. It was actually even a bigger list when they originally announced it, but they've removed about 3 games from there, which I suspect are probably going to be part of the next batch that are leaving instead. But we also, we haven't heard what the wave 1 for this month has been yet, so very curious to see what comes out. The lineup hasn't been amazing recently. It's been okay, but we've also got our Patreon, patreon.com/WallerGamers. If you want to help support the show, a huge thank you to our wonderful paying patrons, Old Mate Clown, Cavalier07, Hack and Pone, Kung Fu Skills, Happy Moogles, Admiral Awesome, Natolinator, Lee Howard, Left Legacy, and Venoms AU. We literally could not afford to do the show without you guys, so thank you all for making such a huge difference and allowing us to make this show. We also have the monthly theme, which is every 2 months we come up with a theme that you need to play some games for. We have a channel for it on the Discord called Monthly Theme. And so for July and August, we're doing Game Hog Day. So you got to play games that require more than one playthrough to complete. So whether that's, secret endings that require you to finish the game before you can get them, or New Game Plus quests, or all that kind of stuff that you need to do to get all the achievements, let us know what you've been playing. I've been playing one this week, actually, which I'll talk about in just a minute. And yeah, let's get into what we've been playing then. Shane, what have you got? It's been a couple of weeks since you've been on.
Yeah, I think last time I was on, I was talking about like Teenage Mutant Turtles: Shredder's Revenge and Vigor. I had started the Mummy Demastered.
Yes, you did.
I got through that pretty easy. It's a cool game. It's a very well-made Metroidvania. It's done by the same people that did the the Alien? I forget what the Alien game was called on DS, but it's a similar idea where you have permadeath and everything like that. But it's way better than the movie, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I had zero problem with it. I died, so I saved Scum because there's an achievement for not dying the entire time. I actually only died on the second boss. Other than that, easy peasy. I never had any problems. So yeah, it's a pretty easy game, but it's cool. It's really fun. Really enjoyed it. The last batch of games leaving Game Pass included Volcano Princess. I decided to bite that bullet because it seemed interesting and no one else was probably going to do it. So I was like, heck yeah. It is a game where you play as a dad raising a daughter. This sounds weird, but I remember running into these kind of games even on the SNES when I was going like scrolling through ROMs. So this is definitely a thing that's been around for a while. I had never played one, and it was pretty great. I don't know if anyone remembers on PlayStation the game Monster Rancher, but I
Yeah,
love those
absolutely. You put
games.
discs in and get different
Yeah.
monsters. Yeah, I played one of those. Yeah.
Yes, that was cool because before spreadsheets, I would just write in a notebook what this gave me. But also, I just like that level of management and stat building, and it's the same thing with a kid essentially. So, I was able to blow through it pretty quick. It's
I was impressed.
once
Yeah.
you have it down, it's very easy. I played the first and I played the first playthrough blind of 3 playthroughs, so not too shabby. It's a lot of fun. It's pretty easy. Once you know what you're doing, you can set up, and if you know what you're doing properly, you could easily set up a save near the end where you can just start blowing through achievements, like relationship achievements and ending achievements. The only reason you need 3 playthroughs is because there are 3 lords of the houses, and you have to marry each one, and the only way you can is by making a choice early in the game. So
Right.
you can't really get past
Classic,
that.
like visual novel bullshit. Yeah.
Pretty much. So, but it was fun. Once you know what you're doing, yeah, I was so OP. My second and third playthroughs, I was able to do pretty much anything I wanted at that point. So much so that the third playthrough literally was just blowing through to marry the third guy. So, marrying my principal, which seems like an ethical issue.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Yep. That
And
doesn't. Nope.
real strange that everyone's hitting on my 14-year-old daughter. Weird.
Yep.
But it's
Yikes.
anime.
It's yep.
It's anime.
Thanks, Japan.
Yay. I decided to take it easy and did one of the few physical titles I have,
Ah,
Chaos
yes,
Child.
Chaos Child. Yes.
It's a visual novel. If anyone's played any of those, you know how these go on Xbox or 360 or One. You follow a guide, you fast forward through most of it, make choices. Easy, simple enough. Vampire Survivors got another another DLC and more achievements. I love that game so much.
I need to go back and
Man,
do
that
that.
game's so much fun.
I have mixed feelings about Vampire Survivors, but it is nice to go back to every now and then.
Yep. It's now called Vampire Survivors First Survivathon.
Yeah, because they're trying to get around the because Ponkel has so many projects now that they're trying to get around the Bullet Heaven classification by making their own Survivathon.
Yep.
Just
Survivathon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they're also doing what's that anime called?
Which
Jujutsu Kaisen. That's it.
Oh, that's right. The Jujutsu Kaisen one. They've got one doing. They're doing one with Warhammer as well. The Warhammer 40k one.
Are they the one doing that?
Yeah, I believe they are actually. Yeah,
or
they're involved in it at least. Yeah, because Ponko did say he had like 40 projects going that he was involved with, not necessarily running. But
I mean, to be fair, good for them.
Yeah, great. Sure.
Vampire Survivors is a great game, and I've heard that the card one is also very good. So
Vampire Crawlers. Yeah, I haven't played that one yet.
Yep. I'll get around to it at some point, I'm sure.
When it's leaving Game Pass, probably.
As always. And so the main thing I played recently was Kletka. If anyone has played or been aware of things like, what's the game I'm thinking of? Lethal Company. It's very similar to that. So you are Russian prisoners that are sentenced to descend into the gigastructure in a living elevator, the Kletka, that will eat you. And you have to go floor by floor and decide whether you are like, you can stop the elevator at any time. You have gas to manage. You have your elevator just generally takes like a wear and tear. And as you go through each floor, you adventure out and you collect supplies and weapons, and you find secrets, and it's pretty cool. Me and my friends have wanted to do it for a while, and it finally went on sale in one of those buy two get one sales that have been going on lately.
Yep.
It is friendslop. There aren't a lot of those on Xbox yet, but they're definitely starting to pick up. There is very little. I mean, it's a 2.4 ratio on Xbox right now, and that or TA, and that is very overblown. This game is very easy.
Oh, okay, right.
My final achievement. So when you run out of gas and break down, you get a gift, and that was my final achievement. Like we
Oh shit.
never
Okay,
ran
so
out
you're
of
just doing
gas.
so well. You never. Nice.
Yep. It is one of those games where you can kind of adjust the settings. So I didn't make it super easy, but you could, and even then we got it easy. There's some RNG achievements. For instance, the end boss is random between 2 types, and so there's an achievement for both of them. And it took us a while to finally get that. It took us 4 runs to finally get the second boss. During that run, and then there are a couple RNG. There's like anomaly floors you come on to. Like there's the escape, the back rooms. There's a Matrix one. There's a Twin Peaks one,
Okay,
and
that is kind of cool.
2 of those have achievements. Yeah, it's a really cool game. I really enjoyed it. Like we blew through it real quick. I finished it in like 2-3 days because we were playing it constantly. It's very fun. If you go on TA, I have a lot of the guides. I'll probably be writing more as I go. Because I definitely want to get like probably the hardest achievement is you have to beat the 100 floor mode without using your flashlight. The game's very dark. Okay. But there is a glitch exploit where if you get to the final boss and then quit out and then load back in and then don't use your flashlight, it counts.
Yep. Classic. Yep.
So I definitely added that guide on TA. It's really cool. If you like those kind of games, if you have friends to play it, definitely. I've never played any of it solo, so I don't know how that's gonna go. But the greenhouse sucks. It's awful. It's terrible. Hopefully you get factory, and then you get like residential, and then probably like right into the flesh mines, and you're set. Big fan of the pitchfork, or not pitchfork. Shoot, the mine. Anyway,
Pickaxe.
God, I'm just totally blanking on it. There you go, pickaxe. That one. Yeah, that's great with some acid on it. But we finished that pretty quick, and of course, the new list of games leaving Game Pass came out, and I really want to do my friendly neighbor. I think it's called, right?
Yes, I'll talk about it in a sec because I did it.
Yep. And I definitely am buying that, but that got removed. So I immediately started Dungeons of Hinterberg.
Ooh, I like Dungeons of Hinterberg.
I'm really enjoying it so far. I had previewed it back on my channel on YouTube back when it was added to Game Pass, and the combat just didn't click with me. I felt I don't know. I definitely wanted to do it when it left Game Pass, but I was worried about that aspect of it. But now digging into it, or they updated it. I don't know what changed.
I mean, they have made a couple of title updates. It's changed a little bit. Yeah, they've made some.
It's got New Game Plus and stuff like that. But I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it a lot. I made it through almost half of the dungeons today. I started it today.
Nice.
And yeah, it's a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying it. When you get those great combos and you're just the combat feels really rewarding, and I'm really enjoying it. I have found the commemorative coin, the collectible.
Yes, the medals
coin you gotta find every dungeon. Yep, I found every single one so far, so that's going well. I've got everybody almost to at least, I think it's acquaintance or whatever. I've heard the New Game Plus update made it pretty grindy. But I'm not super worried.
A little bit, but you'll be fine. Like if you do one full playthrough, and you're going to want to do pretty much everything in the game, you'll have to grind out a few dungeons to get a few kills. But like,
yeah, I think it's like a 30-hour completion total. So
yeah,
if I blew out that much today, I'll be done with it by the end next week.
Yeah, you'll smash it. Yeah, I like Dungeons of Hinterberg quite a bit. It was, yeah, I didn't really feel like the need to go back and do that because the New Game Plus stuff is kind of like, it's fine. Like I'm glad they added it, and it's great to have new content, but it is like they didn't change maybe enough really, but it was free, so whatever. Yeah, I did like that it was kind of an interesting take on that kind of Persona style, like social link work with also a more action kind of game as opposed to a JRPG. It also has really good assist mode stuff. If you get tired of stuff, you can kind of like turn it down. Yeah, it's got really good assist stuff that makes the game a breeze. So if you get sick of the combat,
I'm playing on normal, so I'm not playing on like the easiest difficulty.
Yeah.
because I'm playing on stream. I gotta keep it a little
for sure. It's got
interesting.
to keep it interesting for sure.
Yeah, but I'm really enjoying it. I'm not super worried about finishing it. It'll be nice to finish it, and then I can, I don't know, play something else. I'm trying to focus more on Xbox One games this year, because
Okay.
I've been working on so much on 360 and then games living Game Pass. But my Xbox One library, man, I gotta work on that more. And playing games I just want to play.
Imagine that.
I know, wild thought, but yeah,
happens to the best of us.
What have you been playing?
Yeah, not as much as I would like. It's been a very busy week where I've been in the middle of a website launch for work, so I've been working overtime, and the website is now live. We've got it out July 1st, which is great. But it means that I have not as much time to play things as I would like, but I have made time for a few things. So I finished up Mass Effect Andromeda. Talked a bit about that last couple of weeks. Beat the final boss, and now I just finished my Insanity playthrough on New Game Plus. It is, I think, going through on New Game Plus highlights my problem, quote unquote, with the game. Is that my playthrough of that took me 4 hours, 5 hours maybe, to get through the entire story. So much of that game is optional, quote unquote, that I think it really detracts from the main narrative. So, for example, there are planets that I didn't even go to before I beat the final boss because they're just not required. And like on the one hand, that's great. Like, you can kind of like focus on the main story and not have to do like each planet has like a level of viability you need to get it up with. So it's like if you try to get every planet to 100% for an achievement, and there's some story stuff for that, but you don't have to do any of that stuff. You can basically just mainline the base story for the most part. I think it's like you got to do like one outpost on the first place. And then every other planet you can just do the bare minimum of like main quests and just move on. So there's so much stuff that you could just like skate right by. So much of this game is side quest that it was kind of ridiculous how quickly I managed to get through the Insanity playthrough on New Game Plus. Obviously it helped that I had like a buffed up character with all the levels and stuff. If you were trying to do it normally, of course you'd go around and do all the quests to level yourself up. But yeah, I think that's my main issue with it, is that I think that it's better than, I got asked, I think Professor Pluto asked around those kind of like on a sliding scale of BioWare titles, where does it kind of fit? And I definitely think it's better than Dragon Age Veilguard. I think Veilguard is kind of not a great game in a lot of ways. But I liked it more than I liked, I don't know. It definitely has some of that Inquisition DNA in it in terms of it's got quite a bit of open world stuff. Most of the quests are not super interesting. The dialogue options are basically non-existent, really. It's essentially, it does that thing where it's like, instead of being like, and again, I know like having morality systems in games is kind of, it's kind of passe these days, because it's basically the game telling you what is moral and what isn't, which I get, right? It makes more sense to have like something, it's comparing Fallout 3 with Fallout New Vegas, where it's like Fallout 3 you get like good karma or bad karma if you do good things or bad things. And then it's like in Vegas it's like, no, your relationship with these factions will change based on your decisions, which is more like a realistic, slightly more nuanced take, where it's like, yeah, if I kill, if I'm for freedom and trying not to, and not, helping the Legion, then yeah, I don't get like good boy points. I get increased faction reputation with the NCR, but down with Caesar's Legion. Makes more sense. This has none of that, basically. They've also, again, there's no Paragon or Renegade stuff. This game doesn't have skill checks of any kind. It's so light on the RPG stuff that it almost isn't one. And I know people like got on, Mass Effect 2, for example, is like my favorite of the series, and I think it's a fantastic game. This really feels like they wanted to do Mass Effect 2 and took the wrong lessons from it. Where they're like, yeah, cool, it's going to be very combat focused. There's going to be no like dialogue ways of getting out of things, no skill checks, no real reason to put like all of your like RPG points are just in abilities and talents in terms of like weapon, like biotic abilities or technical abilities. None of them are for like, I don't want to be like, immersive sim stuff, but like none of it is like, there's nothing for like hacking or like speechcraft or any of the things that you would expect to see in like an RPG. And the story is okay. It's fine, like it's serviceable, but it's so much of that Inquisition thing of just going, okay, yeah, it's an open world thing. There's not like, it's just kind of just content. And I think like Allison was looking at pointing out, being like, it's definitely in that uncanny valley also of it came out. They improved the fidelity of everything in the game based on the previous games, because obviously the original games are on the 360, but it's in the uncanny valley thing of the facial stuff just doesn't work quite as well. They've up-res the textures and they've redone it, but like the faces move strange. And obviously this game was very, very buggy when it came out. I've already saw some T-posing stuff.
Yeah, I'm about to say.
Yeah, it's not nearly as bad as it was at launch. I think this is definitely the best version of this game has been. They've definitely made a lot of improvements. But I can absolutely understand when people are like, yeah, this is not the Mass Effect that I really wanted, you know? And people said that about 3 as well. And like, I think this is just more of a slide into that more open worldy kind of, like, you know, wide but shallow kind of gameplay, open world, you know, collectathon kind of stuff. Not to the extent where I didn't want to play it, and they've added a lot of like maneuverability stuff. So like instead of, you know, being like hunkered down, chest high wall again, because like Mass Effect 2 and 3 were essentially cover shooters for the most part.
Yeah.
This allows you to like do like dodges and like jumps and jump jets and stuff. So you're a lot more maneuverable. There's like a hover mechanic. Like it definitely feels, the combat feels good. And I like that you're not locked into a class when you start the game. The idea is that you can kind of put points into biotics, combat, or tech as much as you want, and you basically unlock profiles to kind of change your build. So it's like, oh, hey, you have enough. So I went with like a mix. So I had like enough in combat, enough in biotics, and enough in tech to do an explorer, which is like a three tier kind of thing, which gives you some bonuses from each of the 3 groups. Or again, because like they had the whole thing where it's like, oh, you can do biotic and tech in the old games, and so you were a sentinel or whatever. So there's definitely more customizability in terms of like your combat experience, but you do a lot of combat in this game. It is like just, it's so much fucking shooting and that kind of stuff, and very little speechcraft, very little conversation stuff. Decisions basically make no difference to anything, and the world building is. I wonder if it's part of it is that like, I know they aren't going to make a sequel to this, so I'm not all that invested in my decisions, because that was the classic thing from like Mass Effect 1 and 2 was like, oh, hey, you know, you're going to go on the suicide mission. Who's going to survive it? You know, what are they like? What's your relationship with them? What big, you know, decisions are you going to make with like the Rachni Queen or the Collector base? And it's like, how's that all going to happen in Mass Effect 3? And the real answer was not that much of a difference, but maybe one conversation. But this is very much a thing of like, oh, you know, you've beaten the main threat, but there's still a big threat out there. Stay tuned, you know, for the next game. And I'm like, well, I know you guys aren't continuing this shit, so maybe I just don't care as much. But
fair.
None of the decisions seem to like have any impact even within their own game. So like, I'll give you an example. When you create your first outpost on the first planet that you land on, you get the decision to make it either a military outpost or a science outpost. And I was reading up on this. I was like, oh, this could be interesting. Like maybe it's like a direction for, because you know you are essentially a colonizing species coming into this new galaxy. What do you like? You know, what's the approach that you're going to put forth? Are you going to be like militaristic and like jingoist and like you know, quite like isolationist, or are you going to be more research heavy, but also run the risk of being conquered and not having the weapons you need to defend yourself? But it's like, no, it doesn't matter. Someone in a conversation, like if you do it if you make it military, some of the scientists go, hey man, I wanted to research down there. That sucks. And I go, hey, sorry man, that's my bad. And that's it. Like it feels so shallow.
I remember hearing that too, where it just, I don't know. I feel like this was their first step into the new generation, and they scaled back a lot of that customization and world building and the different diverging paths and stuff like that to.
Yeah, which I feel like that's what people came to Mass Effect for, right? Was that like interesting stuff in terms of like branching narratives and hard decisions and black and white versus gray morality and all that kind of stuff. And this game just has none of it. And like, I don't know, like even Dragon Age has done a better job, I think, of that. But anyway, as a game, I enjoyed playing through it. It's not overly difficult. You can do a whole playthrough on story difficulty, get all the miscellaneous achievements. You don't have to do multiple playthroughs, but New Game Plus on Insanity is like relatively straightforward. Some good guides and some good builds. Lots of build customizability. The combat is fun. The enemy variety is okay. It's just kind of, unfortunately, that's the core of the game, when the other Mass Effects where it's like combat was part of the game. This is now the game.
Yeah. Yeah, see, and I feel that because from what I've seen, I do feel like I'd enjoy this just as a gameplay
Yeah,
perspective, like just playing through it. I'm sure it's just fine.
yeah, yeah. I'm with you. Um, but that has been one of my unstarted backlog games, and so now that's dusted off. I need to pick something new. I have a list of 45, and so I'm going to do a bit of a review there, and kind of I'll pick what I'm going to keep working on. I At this rate, I'm probably unfortunately not going to get through all 45 before the end of the year, but I'm going to make my best effort to try and cut that list down, even if it just means like diving them, just so they are started and that I'm committed to playing them. The other things I've been playing, but when it was announced to be leaving Game Pass, I installed My Friendly Neighborhood, which
Hmm.
is something that I've been wanting to play for a while. If you don't know, it is essentially the way I've described it is Resident Evil 7 meets Sesame Street. So it is a first
Accurate.
person survival horror shooter, more sort of combat heavy shooter, like not as like sneaky, uh, where you are basically you're a maintenance man who's been called to a defunct studio, basically Jim Henson's Creature Shop, like Jim Henson Workshop kind of thing, where the antenna on top of the building on top of the TV studio building has been reactivated for some reason and is like causing problems on people's like news channels and stuff. Like they've been cutting in weird interludes of the show, and so you've been tasked to go and shut it down. And when you get there, you find out that uh, the place was abandoned, but they never actually shut down the animatronic quote unquote things that were there. And so this is very much like a Five Nights at Freddy's situation where the puppets and everything are still alive and very much trying to hug you to death. And so you basically go around with again, it's very much like let's just take like something that's like zombies but make them cute and funny, and instead of like proper guns you have like everything's like word based, so you're like shooting letters at them. So like a clip of a gun has 26 bullets in it because it's every letter of the alphabet that you shoot at enemies. It's a fun little distraction. Like again, it's not super deep, but it is very like clearly the people who made this love Resident Evil because they get it. Where they're like, oh cool, you go into an area, you fight off a bunch of zombies, you fight off a bunch of puppets who are waving their arms and on the ground and like kind of like just being wacky and making weird noises. Um, you go around solving really esoteric puzzles. There's like where you got to collect like blocks and spell things, and it's the classic Resident Evil like do a shadow puzzle, get a weird colored key that opens certain doors, and find secrets and stuff. And there's like hidden tapes around, and you kind of dig into like you find like notes to figure out like what's been going on and like why this happened, why the show was cancelled, and it's actually quite cool. I like it quite a bit. The nice thing is that you can play it on easy, and if you get all the collectibles and you make like there's like a choice at the end. If you make the right choice at the end and you get all the collectibles, then you can do every subsequent playthrough with like cheats, because all the collectibles you get unlock cheats. Like there's one that makes your arms super long, so you can open doors from across you can walk into a room, and if as long as you're aiming at a door on the other side of the room, you'll just be able to open it because the game basically thinks your arm is that long. The visual looks crazy. There's like a free cam mode where you can kind of fly around and kind of get around puzzles and stuff. There's a bunch of little speed running things. There's like a little horde mode in there for some stupid reason. But again, you can put it on, like you can put invincibility on and infinite ammo and just kind of breeze through it. So it's a very
Yeah.
easy game. There's a video, I think Achievement Land has like a video walkthrough that if you follow the whole thing, you get the game done in like I think I did it in like 4 hours. So it's
Okay.
actually like again, if you mainline it and you know the solutions to the puzzles and you know where to go to get stuff, then yeah, you'll breeze through the game. If you kind of do it more organically and just kind of watch a collectible guide for the missable stuff, it'll probably take you closer to 6 to 8, maybe 10 hours. But it is not an overly difficult game. But I liked it quite a bit. It was really kind of an interesting take on something that I wasn't sure I was going to like, but I like Resident Evil enough that I was like, oh cool, this is like I can understand the kind of what they're going for here. Because again, it even has like an inventory box, and you have like save stations that you got to put tokens into to save. Like it's very traditional Resident Evil style, but all first person.
Yeah, and also not quite like Resident Evil. It's everyone's a Mr. X. Like there's named puppets, and they just kind of follow you around.
They'll follow you around.
It's very stressful.
It also has the like Crimson Head thing of like back in the Resident Evils where like you got to set them on fire to stop them from coming back to life. if you shoot a puppet down and they fall over, if you leave the area and come back, they'll be back up unless you have tape and you go and put fucking tape around them and tape them to the ground so they can't move. It's really funny. Like, they've found funny, interesting solutions to like allegories for how like Resident Evil works. Like, they clearly love that genre. So I think it's a really good take.
Yeah, it was definitely in my game after I finished up Dungeons of Hinterland. Or
Hinterberg. Yeah.
I keep want to call it Hinterland.
Hinterlands, because Hinterlands is the place in
I know
in Dragon Age.
But
I mean, I would say probably get on this, because realistically, even though it got removed from the leaving Game Pass list, I suspect because it came out like 17th of July last year, it'll probably be part of the next batch, almost certainly, I think.
Okay.
And then the last thing I've been playing this with Char. I've been playing Absalom, which is another Game Pass game, which is a 2D side-scrolling brawler, beautiful art style, multiple path. It's a classic, like, I mean, like, it's the Golden Axe thing. Like, you have mounts, you have like branching paths, you have like boss fights and characters. You do like there's like a running attack and like a jump attack, and it's classic, that stuff. But it's also a roguelite. So the idea is that you try to make it as far as you can, and then when you die, you come back, you get currency for doing quests. And like side objectives and discovering new routes and beating new types of bosses to power up either your main character with new abilities, or just like an overall skill tree that gives you extra health and do more damage and get better loot and all that kind of stuff. So, excuse me. It definitely has that, like, there's no way I don't think it's even possible to even beat the game in one playthrough in terms of like if you would, it's the one thing where it's very meta progression gated. Like, unless so even if you are like a god tier gamer, you would probably struggle getting to the final boss without any of the upgrades. So like, it's very much like in the same way that like Hades is quite difficult in that regard. Well, actually no, Hades is maybe less so, but I'm enjoying it quite a bit. Char and I have been playing it. It also has assist mode stuff, so you can like put your damage all the way up, but that's only in single player. So we've just been playing it co-op and just having a good time with it. We've done maybe like 10 runs or so. We haven't made it too far, unfortunately. It's been tough. It is quite a difficult game. But I think because it's basically you need to go through two islands, and then I think the third island is basically the final boss. And so we've made it halfway through like the second island before we died. So we're getting there, but it is definitely tough. And I know that there's a big fucking boss at the end of that island that I'm very concerned about. So we'll see. But I love the look. I enjoy the combat. It's a little bit samey, but it does that nice thing of like, rather than just throwing new abilities at you every time, every now and then when you go back to a new area, there'll be a new type of enemy, or there'll be a slightly different story event. Like we went into this goblin area that we've been to a few times, and suddenly there was just a little cutscene of these goblins setting up traps on the ground and putting gold on them to try and convince people to go and grab it and get hit by spikes. And now we just kind of see traps everywhere that can also affect you or your enemies. So like they kind of change things up just enough that like even if you've been through an area a bunch of times, because it is that thing of like it's a linear game, you kind of have to go from beginning to end every run, that they kind of change things up enough that it's kind of still interesting and like you're well, again, I don't want to spoil it, because again, like the fun is also when you meet characters or do quests, they'll be like, oh, hey, guess what? There's another route that you can go and to a completely area that you didn't even know existed, with like a new type of enemy or a new type of boss or some new magic you can unlock and stuff. So there's a lot to this game. I think in terms of unlocks, maybe like 30-40% of it. And we've done about maybe 10 or 12 runs. But I imagine it's going to get pretty tough by the time we get towards the end of it. I
see TA has it marked as roguelite. Is it one of those like choose 3 or?
It's more of a, well, yeah, I think it starts as a choose 2. There's an upgrade to make it a choose 3, but the whole thing is it's more like meta progression focused. Like there is definitely like when you start a run, you get a choice between like two, they call them rituals, which is like each of them have like an elemental effect, and so you can pick between two of them. But it's like, yeah, I think I just unlocked the thing so I could pick 3. But it is like they're relatively small impact stuff. Most of the meta progression stuff is like, your attacks are going to be pretty much the same, whether it's a you'll have like a heavy attack or a light attack, and it's more about like positioning and jumping and like doing running attacks and doing mounts and stuff like that, or make sure you're blocking at the right time. It's much more like combat focused as opposed to like power up focused, if that makes sense. But yeah, I'm not surprised. Maybe it doesn't have enough of the roguelike elements for. I know TAs can be a bit iffy around what they mark as a roguelite, but it definitely is very roguelite inspired. Like this is a classic pick for our theme month because it's the kind of thing where you're gonna have to play through it a lot of times.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it. I mean, I've got Final Fantasy Rebirth installed that I really do want to play, but I need to finish up Banishes and maybe pick another game from the backlog to do before I start that. That's my treat game, but it's also going to be my next project, I think. So we'll see. I've also bought a couple of games that are on sale, that were on the good sale. There's a TA article that suggested a few. So I've grabbed a couple of those. Might give those a try for next week. All right. I think that's everything we've been playing. So let's move on to the word challenge. Everyone's favorite competition where Kirby comes up with a clue and fucking tells me what it is before the show. Because
every time.
Yeah, every time, every week. So yeah, Kirby usually comes up with a game and he puts it into our bot and we have to guess what it is. Us and our community on the word challenge channel. You get one guess per hour and we give a new clue away each week. And so we came up with a new game last week. And so the first clue was bigger than Barbados. So yeah, normally this is where I'd give you the second clue, but he has been too busy getting fucking massages and learning to play the cymbals, apparently, if you look at our Discord, to give us a new clue. So I will get him to put a new clue on the in the bot and in the channel before the show goes live next week on Tuesday. But unfortunately, we don't have a new clue. But that prize pool will be increasing. So get your guesses in. Bigger than Barbados. There's been some good guesses so far. I'm really curious what the game is. I have a couple of ideas of what that might mean, but Kirby's also been responding with gifts telling us how wrong we are. So maybe we're not on the right track at all. Leaderboards. Shane, you want to do those?
Yeah, let's start at, I don't know, number 5. We got Professor Pluto at 6,300 score. We've got Bosham at number 4 with 9,090. 90. That's kind of cool. Number 3 is Northern Last with 13,672. Number 2 is Thrash Forever with 74,475 gamer score. And number 1 is a Gray Shark with 117,785 gamer score. That's insane.
Yeah, that's yeah. I don't get it.
I don't get it.
Completions. So Jake finished up Parasite Eve, which he was talking about last time he was on, on retro achievements. Kirby Chin Doctor finished Date Everything. Cavalier 07 finished Game Dev Story, and Minami Lane. Spice finished up Final Fantasy VII Remake. Rapture finished up Hawked before it goes offline. Thrash Forever finished up TMNT Splintered Fate, and he seems very keen on the genre now, so I think he's going to jump on to Hades. Mad Lefty finished up Keeper, and Bulbasaur finished up Dead or Alive 6 last round. And I think that's pretty much going to bring us to the end of the show. Yeah, as always, we do the show live on Twitch. Thank you for joining us. It's great to see some comments in the Seth Boonzom having a couple of things around Mass Effect, which is always good to see. Shane, you got anything you want to shill?
As always, you can catch me on firehawkd.com. I've got all links to all my stuff. I stream like pretty much nightly. I've got content going on my YouTube channel daily, and I have a weekly blog. So,
oh, great. And I'm Neomaster on everything, True Achievements, Xbox, and Discord. As always, a huge thank you to my wonderful co-hosts, even the ones that couldn't join us this week. Our Patrons for making the show possible, and you for watching and listening at home. Make sure you check out our YouTube channel. I've been seeing some nice comments on there, and the views have been going up, which is a good sign. So hopefully people are enjoying seeing our beautiful faces and the great thumbnail that Char does every week. That's been episode 219. We'll catch you guys next week. See you later.
Peace out.